Well, hello, students and mentors. I am so glad that you have joined us today. I do apologize for not being able to be with you in person, but I look forward to seeing you again next month and following up with the lesson from this month. Now, as you may recall, last month we talked about my whole self. We talked about that we are physical and emotional and social, and we talked about the importance of relationships and intimacy in all these different areas of our life. And the truth is, when we can be healthy in all these different areas of our life, they work together like a wheel, like cogs, that when everybody's moving and working together in a healthy way, it allows our whole life to move forward in a really healthy way. And so as we are looking at making ourselves better and learning new things, it's important to keep that balance of, well, how can I be healthy physically? How can I be healthy spiritually? How can I be healthy emotionally and intellectually and all of these things? Because when we're balanced and we're healthy in all of these ways, we move forward in life in a stronger way. So this week, we are going to start to talk about personality styles. And if you've been part of Proverbs 2:26 for a year or 2 years, then you maybe have done this before. And that's okay, because the truth is we grow and learn every year. And I would hope that you're not really the same person that you were a year ago or even 2 years ago. I know I'm not. Just this past week, I was spending some time working on a book that I had started 2 years ago, and then life got busy. And when I was going through it, I realized this isn't what I want to say at all anymore. So I just kind of started from scratch again, because I have grown so much in the last 2 years, and I hope that is the same for you. So we're going to talk about some character traits and go through some kind of ideas and come together with things about our personality and finding out what kind of personality style we are today in this season of our life. So you will need a writing utensil of some sort and a piece of paper of some sort. It doesn't have to be this big. It could be half this size. We're going to make tally marks on 4 different columns. So as long as you have enough room to write some tallies and write some numbers, you'll be good to go. So as I'm going through character traits, I want you to think about yourself, not what you could bear to put up with, but what you're most comfortable with. In what kind of environment do you thrive? Because there's a lot of things that we can put our big boy pants on, our big girl pants on, and say, you know what, I can muscle through this and do okay. Or we could be like, actually, I thrive in this kind of environment. I'm really comfortable with this. So think about it in that way. As you are thinking about these personality traits, these character traits, think about, do I thrive in this environment? Do I love this kind of thing? Or do I hate that? Do I become a shadow of myself? Do I just want to crawl into a hole and die? Okay, so those are the things that you can think about in this. So everybody needs their writing utensil and everybody needs a piece of paper. Now, the first thing I want you to write is an L. I wrote a nice little L on the top of my page, and I am going to make tally marks. Here's my L. I'm going to make tally marks under the L every time a word of the characteristics that I'm going to read resonates with me. I'm like, yes, that's me. Okay, so have your pencil ready. And if I say a word or a phrase and it's a yes for you, then give yourself a tally. If it's a maybe or a right no, don't do anything. Okay, so here we go. This is under our category of L. Likes authority. Are you someone who really likes to have authority figures in your life, in your day-to-day, what you're doing? If you're someone who likes authority, give yourself a tally mark. Takes charge. Are you someone who really feels comfortable with just taking charge of the situation, the group project, the cleaning, whatever's happening? You are comfortable with just taking charge. Next one, determined. Do you define yourself as being determined to get the job done, determined to have this outcome no matter what? Are you determined? If you are, give yourself a tally. Confident. Are you confident in the majority of the things that you set out to do? Firm. Are you firm when it comes to what you believe and what you think about life and what you're going to do? Are you firm? Enterprising. So are you resourceful and maybe entrepreneurial? If you're enterprising and someone who's always resourceful and you intuitive and you're figuring things out, then give yourself a tally. Competitive. Are you competitive? Do you just have to win? You have to get it, get that game, do the best and be amazing. If you're competitive, give yourself a tally. Enjoys challenges. Some people just thrive with a challenge, and if they have to do it in less time, that's even better. Do you enjoy challenges? If so, give yourself a tally. Problem solver. Are you a problem solver? When everyone's trying to run around, figure out what to do, you're like, I know, we can do this and this and this, and it will be done. Are you a problem solver? Are you creative in the way that you think like that? If so, give yourself a tally. Productive. Are you productive with your time? Do you like to always be doing something? If so, give yourself a tally. Bold. Are you bold when it comes to speaking out or doing something? If you think of yourself as bold, give yourself a tally. Purposeful. Do you have to have purpose in what you're doing in the day-to-day? If so, give yourself a tally. Decision maker. You are the one that can make the decisions on the spot. When you go to Starbucks, you know exactly what you're going to have with what kind of milk, what kind of temperature, what kind of size. You're good to go. If you are a decision maker, give yourself a tally. Adventurous. Do you really need adventure? You just got to go and have an adventure? If so, give yourself a tally. Strong-willed. Are you strong-willed about things? People can't sway you either way. Maybe your grandmother calls you hard-headed. If so, give yourself a tally. Independent. Can you just go out and do things on your own, or do you need to have friends with you and have a group all the time? If you feel that you really are independent, give yourself a tally. Controlling. If you have to know how things are going to go and that you're going to take the lead and make sure that all these things happen according to plan, give yourself a tally. Persistent. Are you persistent? You're going to keep going. That squeaky wheel gets the grease. If you think of yourself as persistent, give yourself a tally. Action oriented. You need to have things to do. If so, give yourself a tally. And last one for this category is leader. When you think of yourself, when you look at yourself in the mirror, do you think of yourself as a leader? If so, give yourself a tally. Now go ahead and look at all those tallies and add them up and just put a number underneath. So maybe you did the kind of tallies 1, 2, 3, 4 / 1, 2, 3, 4 /. And once you get your total, just put a number underneath. Okay, the next category we have is O. Here's my O. Here we go with O. All right, remember, thinking of yourself, how do you thrive? What do you see yourself? When you look in the mirror, if these words describe you, you're going to give yourself a tally. Enthusiastic. I know all of you are thinking, Dr. Liz is enthusiastic. Yes, it's true. Sometimes I am. If you are enthusiastic, give yourself a tally. Takes risks. If that doesn't bother you, you're happy to take a risk. You only live once. You got to go for it. Take a step of faith. If that's you, give yourself a tally. Visionary. Do you have vision for what you could be doing and problem solving and just big picture vision? Give yourself a tally. If you are a motivator, you can get a whole room of lethargic teenagers to get up and do something great, then give yourself a tally. Are you energetic, like the Energizer Bunny? You don't have to have sugar, you don't have to have caffeine. Bum, 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 bum. You're just excited about life. If you are, give yourself a tally. Very verbal. Are you're an external processor, you're talking all the time. If you are, if that describes you, give yourself a tally. Are you a promoter? You are always like promoting other people. Oh, you've got to meet this person and you've got to meet this person and they're amazing. If that describes you, give yourself a tally. Friendly. When you look in the mirror, do you think of yourself as friendly or scary? If you think of yourself as friendly, give yourself a tally. Enjoys popularity. Some people really like to do things behind the scenes, but other people really thrive when they're out front and in front of people. If you enjoy popularity, give yourself a tally. Fun loving. You love to have fun. You love to just make every job a game. If you are fun loving, give yourself a tally. Likes variety. You cannot eat the same cereal for breakfast every morning. You like to mix it up. You like variety, wearing different kinds of outfits maybe, going to different places to eat, whatever it might be. Spice of life, you like variety. Spontaneous. Do you like to just, what are we going to do today? Let's go on an adventure. If you are spontaneous, give yourself a tally. Enjoys change. Some people really like to know what to expect. Other people like to change it up. They like when things change. They like the new. If you enjoy change, give yourself a tally. Creative. Is your mind always thinking about new ideas and new creative ways to do things? If you think of yourself as creative, give yourself a tally. Group oriented. You love those group projects. You love doing stuff with all your friends, not just one friend, but you love to have a big group of friends around to go and have fun and do your adventures. If you are group oriented, give yourself a tally. Optimistic. If you are always, the glass is half full, you're always looking on the bright side of things, give yourself a tally. Initiator. If you're one who's gonna, all right, get everybody together and go out and have an adventure, you always initiate things, give yourself a tally. Infectious laughter. Do you just have that gift when you start laughing, before you know it, the whole room is laughing? If that's you, give yourself a tally. Inspirational. Do you have that ability to inspire people to try harder, to inspire people to get up and do something, to inspire people to greatness? If you have that, you think of yourself as that, inspirational, give yourself a tally. Flexible. Are you like, no problem, we can deal with that? If you think of yourself as flexible, go ahead and give yourself a tally. And now add up those tallies that you just did under O. So maybe this time I'm adding up my tallies and write a number underneath. Now, those aren't accurate for me. I'm just giving you an example. Okay, the next column or one you're going to do is a G. So we have L-O-G, log. Okay, so under G, here we go. If you are sensitive, if you have sensitive feelings, you know that you feel bad for people or you get your feelings hurt easily. If you feel like you have sensitive feelings, give yourself a tally. Are you loyal? You are a loyal friend. You are a loyal family member, no matter what. If you think of yourself as incredibly loyal, give yourself a tally. Consistent. People know what to expect when they hang out with you. You are consistent. You are consistent in how you care for people. You're consistent in how you behave. If you are consistent, give yourself a tally. Non-demanding. You're happy with whatever your friends want to do. You go along. You don't demand certain things. If you are non-demanding, give yourself a tally. Avoids confrontation. Some people really can't handle, really don't like confrontation. It's very stressful to them. If you avoid confrontation at all costs, give yourself a tally. You enjoy routine. You like to know when you're getting up and what you're doing and all of these things. If you enjoy routine, you thrive in routine, give yourself a tally. When I was young, I thought that was a bad word. But for some people, they thrive in routine. Dislike change. You just like things to be the same thing. You want to know where the cereal, not only is it the same cereal every day, you know exactly where it's going to be located in the cupboard. You don't like change. If that's you, give yourself a tally. Warm. If you think of yourself, you look in the mirror, you're like, I'm a warm person. I'm warm in how I care for people and how I respond to people. If that's you, give yourself a tally. Gives in. when you're out with friends and everybody's like, I want to do this, I want to do this, you are most likely to give in and do what the other person wants to do. If that's you, give yourself a tally. Indecisive. Starbucks is not the place for you. I don't know. What do you want to do? I don't know. What do you want to do? Now don't start that again. And you're indecisive. And if that's you, go ahead and give yourself a tally. If you have dry humor, the dad jokes, the very sarcastic or really smart dry humor, if that's you, give yourself a tally. Adaptable. You can go on with whatever people are going to do and you can adapt. If that's you, give yourself a tally. Sympathetic. You're very sympathetic to what other people are going through. If that's you, give yourself a tally. Thoughtful. Are you thoughtful in the way that you speak with people, that you react or respond to people? If you think of yourself as a thoughtful person, you think about what they want and how they're going to respond before you respond yourself. If that's you, give yourself a tally. Nurturing. If you're always caring for people and nurturing people and taking care of people, if that's you, give yourself a tally. Patient. If you think of yourself as a patient person, give yourself a tally. Tolerant. Are you tolerant of things that are going on around you, people that are different? If you think of yourself as tolerant, give yourself a tally. Good listener. If you are a good listener and you're that friend who's just always hearing what people are going through, give yourself a tally. Peacemaker. If you are the peacemaker in your friend crowd, you're the one that pulls everyone and just, it's okay, and moderates between it all. If you're the peacemaker, give yourself a tally. And lastly, under the category of G, steadfast. If you are steadfast and people know they can trust you and they know they can depend on you, then give yourself a tally. Okay, add up those tallies again. This is under G, all your little tallies, and write the number, and we're moving on to the last one for today, and that is B. Now, B, if you enjoy instructions, you love the instruction manual, if that's you, give yourself a tally. If you want everything to be accurate and precise and you thrive in that kind of environment, then give yourself a tally. Consistent. You like things to be very consistent at all times. If that's you, give yourself a tally. Controlled. You're very controlled in your emotions. You're self-controlled, that you're not going to let everybody see. You're not going to leave all your emotions out on your shoulder. You're very self-controlled. Reserved. Are you reserved in how you behave in situations? Not everybody can tell what you're thinking or what you're feeling. If you are reserved, give yourself a tally. Predictable. Do your friends know what you're going to choose and what you're going to do? If you are predictable, give yourself a tally. Practical. If everything you do has to make sense and has to be practical, give yourself a tally. Orderly. Are you orderly? You like things in a certain order. You organize your cabinets. You organize your closets a certain way. If that's you, give yourself a tally. Factual. You don't want to know about all the emotions and all the smoke screens. You want the facts. You want the details of the facts. And that is what is going to direct you. If you are a very factual person, give yourself a tally. Conscientious. You are aware of what's going on around you. You are conscientious to what the money, the details. If that's you, give yourself a tally. Perfectionist. If you are a perfectionist and everything you do has to be precise and perfect, give yourself a tally. Discerning. If you can look into a situation and discern, this is a little off or this is not quite right, and you're seeing those details, give yourself a tally. Detailed. If you are a detailed individual, you are the one to help build the rocket, then give yourself a tally. Analytical. Your brain, the way you think, is very analytical, going through every step, every part. Give yourself a tally. Inquisitive. You're always asking more questions. Why? But then why? Well, why is that? Because you want to know all the details. You want to figure it out. If you are inquisitive, give yourself a tally. Precise. Every little detail really matters to you, and you're going to be very precise. If that's you, give yourself a tally. Persistent. No matter what, you have got to have the rules. You've got to have the details. You have to do it the right way. Do it right every time. If you're persistent with that, give yourself a tally. Scheduled. If you like to have a schedule and everything about your day is scheduled, give yourself a tally. Sensitive. If you're sensitive how people respond to you and you're sensitive how on the things around you, if you feel that describes you, give yourself a tally. And lastly, if you are intentional about the things that you do and the things that you say, give yourself a tally. Okay, go ahead and add up all those tallies, and you should have 4 numbers of lowest to highest. Now, this is a 2-part lesson. So at this point, I'm just going to let you know what those letters sound like. And next week, we'll go into the details of the personality and the character traits. So please keep your page and keep your numbers. If your highest number was an L, that means you are a lion. If your highest number was an O, that means you have the personality of an otter. If your highest number was a G, that means that you have the personality of a golden retriever. And if your highest number was a B, it's so great to be a beaver. You have the personality characteristics of a beaver. All right, next month we will go into the details about these characteristics and how this affects relationships on both sides and what kind of friendships that you might need to look for that would be a strength to you. So on that, I'm going to turn it back over to Pastor Cyril. Have a great month, and we will see you next time. Take care.